The signal pierced through subspace like a dying star's last breath. Dr. Sarah Chen stood motionless in the Antarctic deep space listening post, her augmented eyes fixed on the quantum display as it decoded the alien transmission. 20 years of searching for extraterrestrial intelligence, and now humanity's first contact came in the form of a desperate plea. The holographic projection materialized in the center of the monitoring station, showing crystalline beings with translucent bodies that seemed to pulse with inner light. The Nalthians, as they called themselves, had once been a species of billions spread across 12 star systems. Now fewer than 1 million remained. "They're being hunted," Sarah whispered, her neural implants processing the alien data streams faster than any conventional computer. The footage showed massive biomechanical ships materializing from fold space, their hulls rippling with an organic darkness that devoured light itself. The Void Harvesters, as the Nalthians named them, didn't simply conquer, they consumed. Admiral James Rodriguez watched the transmission from the UN Space Command headquarters in Geneva, his weathered face illuminated by the glow of multiple tactical displays. "How many survivors?" he asked, his voice carrying the weight of command. "The signal indicates approximately 800,000 refugees scattered across 3 emergency shelters," Sarah replied through the quantum link. "But sir, there's something else. The Harvesters, they're methodical. They're not just destroying civilizations. They're collecting specific biological markers from each species they target." The Admiral's augmented reality display filled with tactical assessments and probability matrices. Humanity had prepared for first contact for decades, building up a defense force that merged biological enhancement with cutting-edge technology. But they had expected diplomacy, trade, cultural exchange, not an intergalactic war of extinction. "What's their projected course?" Rodriguez's question cut through the growing tension in the command center. Sarah's response came with crystal clarity. "Based on their current trajectory and the pattern of their previous harvests, they'll reach the Nalthian refugee fleet in approximately 72 hours. Earth is their next logical target." The silence that followed was deafening. Humanity had evolved on a world that most spacefaring species would classify as a death trap. High gravity, extreme temperature variations, aggressive microorganisms, and predators that had shaped human evolution into something unique in the galaxy. Persistence hunters with the ability to adapt to almost any environment. "Send the response," Rodriguez commanded, his decision already made. "Tell the Nalthians help is coming, and begin Operation Prometheus." Across Earth, massive underground facilities hummed to life. The fruits of 2 decades of reverse engineering alien technology, salvaged from crashed scout ships and intercepted debris, began to take form. Hybrid warships, part machine and part vat-grown organic matter, powered up their quantum cores. Soldiers with neural enhancement and engineered reflexes boarded deployment vessels, their bodies housing both cutting-edge technology and the primal instincts of Earth's apex predators. In orbit, the first wave of Earth's defensive fleet emerged from their hidden lunar bases. The ships weren't the sleek, aesthetic vessels of science fiction. They were practical, brutal things, built by a species that had never forgotten its roots as tool-making hunters. Each vessel carried enough firepower to level a continent, crewed by humans who combined tactical genius with predatory instinct. Sarah watched the fleet assemblage through the station's quantum sensors, her enhanced mind calculating probabilities and running scenarios. The Void Harvesters had never encountered a species quite like humanity, a civilization born on a world that had forced them to become something unique in the galaxy. They were about to learn why Earth was classified as a death world, and why its inhabitants had not only survived, but thrived in conditions that would kill most sentient species. The signal from the Nalthian refugees continued to stream in, carrying with it the accumulated knowledge of their civilization. Scientific discoveries, cultural achievements, and tactical data about their hunters. But what caught Sarah's attention was a deeper pattern in the data, something that suggested the Harvesters' actions weren't random. They were collecting, cataloging, and storing specific genetic sequences from each species they encountered. "Admiral," she called out, her voice tight with sudden understanding. "I think I know why they're coming. It's not just about destruction. They're looking for something specific, genetic markers that indicate adaptation to extreme environments. And, sir, humanity might be their perfect target." Rodriguez's response was immediate and decisive. "Then let's show them exactly what those adaptations mean in combat. Begin fleet-wide neural sync. We hunt in 3 hours." The quantum drives of Earth's fleet pulsed with controlled fury as they prepared for their first fold space jump. On the bridge of the flagship Thermopylae, Admiral Rodriguez watched the final battle preparations through his neural interface. Each ship in the fleet was a testament to humanity's ability to adapt and overcome. Hybrid vessels that combined captured alien tech with humanity's unique approach to warfare. "Fleet-wide neural sync complete," announced Captain Maya Santos, her cybernetically enhanced reflexes allowing her to process multiple tactical feeds simultaneously. The crew of each vessel was connected through a quantum neural network, allowing them to think and react as one while maintaining individual initiative, a combat style that mirrored how ancient human hunting parties had operated. Dr. Chen's holographic projection appeared on the bridge, her expression grave. "The Nalthian refugees have gone dark. Last transmission showed 3 harvester vessels entering their system. We have less than 40 minutes before they begin their collection process." The Admiral's augmented vision displayed the tactical overlay. The harvesters' ships were massive, nearly 15 kilometers long, but they had a weakness, one that humanity's evolutionary history had perfectly prepared them to exploit. They'd never faced an opponent that evolved to chase down prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. Rodriguez mused, "Let's show them what persistence hunting looks like on a cosmic scale." The fleet jumped. Reality twisted, folded, and reassembled itself as 37 Earth vessels emerged in the Nalthian refugee system. The scene that greeted them was a testament to the harvesters' brutality. The refugee ships, elegant crystalline structures that seemed to be grown rather than built, were being systematically surrounded by the biomechanical horror of the harvester vessels. "All ships, combat formation Delta," Rodriguez commanded. "Remember your training. We're not here to match them in raw power. We're here to outlast them." The Earth fleet split into 5 hunting packs, each group moving with the coordinated grace of wolves closing in on larger prey. The harvesters' response was immediate. Massive energy weapons that could shear a planet in half began tracking the human vessels. But humanity had learned from the Nalthian data. Their ships' hulls were lined with engineered bacteria that could absorb and redirect energy, a defense system inspired by extremophiles found in Earth's deepest volcanic vents. When the first harvester beam struck, it was absorbed, redirected, and used to power the humans' own weapon systems. "First blood is ours," Maya announced as the hunting packs began their attack runs. Earth's ships moved in patterns that seemed chaotic, but held a deeper purpose. They were forcing the harvesters to expend energy, to commit to actions that would tire them out over a prolonged engagement. The neural network hummed with coordinated activity as humanity demonstrated why they were the galaxy's apex predators. Ships darted in and out of the harvesters' firing solutions, landing precision strikes that slowly wore down their enemies' defenses. It was persistence hunting on a cosmic scale. "Nalthian vessels secured," reported the tactical AI, beginning emergency evacuation procedures. But victory wasn't assured. One of the harvester ships managed to lock onto the Thermopylae with some kind of quantum tether. The massive vessel began pulling them in, its hull rippling with organic tendrils that sought to breach their defenses. "They're trying to sample our genetic material," Dr. Chen's voice cut through the chaos. The Nalthian data was right. They're collecting specific markers. But why? Rodriguez didn't wait for an answer. "Activate the Lazarus Protocol," he ordered. Throughout the fleet, a new weapon system came online, one that demonstrated humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology, but their ability to turn nature itself into a weapon. Engineered phages, based on Earth's most aggressive viruses, but modified to target the semi-organic technology of the harvesters, began their work. The quantum tether dissolved as the microscopic warriors invaded the enemy vessel's systems, turning its own biological components against it. By all the stars, Maya whispered as the massive harvester ship began to convulse. It's working. But their victory was short-lived. The remaining harvester vessels disengaged, jumping into fold space with a precision that spoke of vast experience. They left behind their disabled companion and a message that pulsed through every communication channel. Deathworlders detected. Primary target acquired. The Great Collection must continue. As the Earth fleet secured the Nalthian refugees and began emergency aid procedures, Rodriguez stared at the tactical display with grim determination. "They'll be back," he said. "And next time, they'll come prepared for a long hunt." Dr. Chen's hologram nodded. "Yes, but now we know something crucial. The harvesters aren't just collecting for destruction's sake. They're building something that requires the genetic adaptations of species that have survived in extreme conditions." "Then they've made a fundamental mistake," Rodriguez replied, watching as Earth's ships began rescue operations. "They've given the galaxy's most dangerous predators a reason to hunt them down." The war room beneath Geneva hummed with activity as holographic displays showed the approaching harvester fleet. 3 weeks had passed since humanity's first engagement, and the enemy had returned with overwhelming force. 50 biomechanical vessels, each larger than the ones they'd encountered before, pushed through fold space toward Earth. Dr. Chen's neural implants processed the incoming data streams as she studied the Nalthian refugees' genetic archives. "They've adapted their ships," she reported to Admiral Rodriguez. "The organic components have been modified to resist our viral weapons. They learn fast." "So do we," Rodriguez replied, his augmented vision scanning multiple tactical scenarios simultaneously. "How are the refugees integrating with the lunar bases?" "Better than expected. Their crystalline biology is remarkably compatible with our quantum communication systems. They're already helping us upgrade our defensive capabilities." The Admiral nodded, watching as Earth's combined fleet took up defensive positions. Humanity had spent the intervening weeks preparing for this moment. Every ship had been modified based on lessons learned from the first encounter. Every crew had trained in the neural networks until their coordinated hunting patterns became instinct. "All ships, this is Admiral Rodriguez," his voice carried across quantum channels to every vessel in Earth's defense force. "The enemy thinks they understand what they're facing. They believe they've adapted to our tactics, but they've never faced a species that evolved to thrive on adversity. Show them why Earth is called a death world." The harvester fleet emerged from fold space like a wave of living darkness. Their ships had indeed changed, becoming more organic, more adaptable. But humanity had expected this. The neural network lit up with coordinated activity as Earth's fleet split into hunting packs, each group moving with practiced precision. "Interesting." Dr. Chen's voice carried a note of discovery. "Their formation, it's not just tactical. They're arranging themselves in a pattern that maximizes some kind of quantum field effect. They're not just here to fight. They're scanning us." On the bridge of the Thermopylae, Captain Maya Santos watched the enemy's approach through multiple sensor feeds. "All ships, initiate Protocol Hydra," she commanded. Throughout the fleet, secondary systems that had remained dormant began to activate. The harvesters struck first, their weapons now modified to bypass the energy-absorbing bacteria that had protected Earth's ships in the previous encounter. But humanity had anticipated this too. The damaged sections of their vessels began to regenerate, powered by engineered stem cells that could rapidly adapt to any environment. Another gift from Earth's harsh evolutionary history. "They're trying to isolate the genetic markers that allow us to adapt so quickly," Dr. Chen reported, her voice tight with concentration. "Every weapon they use, every scan they perform, it's all part of their analysis." Rodriguez smiled grimly. "Then let's give them something to analyze. All ships, execute Operation Prometheus." The battle that followed would be studied by military historians for centuries to come. Earth's ships moved like pack hunters, coordinating their attacks through the neural network with inhuman precision. When the harvesters adapted to one tactic, humanity switched to another, demonstrating the flexibility that had allowed their ancestors to survive on a planet that tried to kill them daily. The space around Earth became a graveyard of broken vessels as the two forces clashed. The harvesters' superior technology met humanity's ruthless efficiency and primal instincts. Ships died, crews were lost, but the human fleet maintained its cohesion, fighting with the determination of a species that had never learned to accept defeat. "Sir," Maya's voice cut through the tactical chatter. "They're changing formation again. Multiple quantum signatures detected. They're preparing something big." The center of the harvester fleet began to pulse with energy as their ships arranged themselves in a complex geometric pattern. A beam of pure quantum force lashed out, not at Earth's fleet, but at the planet itself. "It's a genetic survey probe," Dr. Chen announced, her augmented mind processing the data. "They're scanning the entire biosphere, every adaptation, every evolutionary branch that allowed life to survive on Earth. They're cataloging all of it." Rodriguez's response was immediate. "All ships, convergence pattern Alpha. We're not letting them complete that scan." Earth's fleet moved as one, diving into the heart of the harvester formation with savage precision. Ships designed to work together like cells in a living organism demonstrated why humanity's greatest strength was their ability to cooperate in the face of overwhelming odds. The harvester scan was disrupted, their formation broken, but the data they had already collected pulsed back through fold space to some distant point. As their fleet began to withdraw, a final message echoed through Earth's communication systems. "Genetic profile completed. Deathworld adaptations confirmed." The collection nears completion. In the aftermath of the battle, as rescue operations began and damage reports flooded in, Dr. Chen made a breakthrough. "Admiral," she called, her voice carrying the weight of revelation, "I know what they're building. All these genetic markers they're collecting, the adaptations from different species, they're not just cataloging. They're creating something." Rodriguez looked at the tactical display, where the remnants of the harvester fleet were disappearing into fold space. "What are they creating, Doctor?" "A perfect being," she replied. "One capable of surviving anywhere, adapting to anything. And now they have what they needed most, the genetic key to humanity's remarkable adaptability." The Admiral's expression hardened. "Then we have no choice. We can't let them complete their work. All ships, prepare for long-range deployment. We're taking the fight to them." Deep within the remains of a captured harvester vessel, Dr. Sarah Chen stood surrounded by biological horror and revelation. The ship's neural architecture pulsed with residual energy, its walls lined with preservation chambers containing genetic samples from 1,000 extinct species. Each specimen told a story of adaptation, survival, and ultimately, extinction. "They're not just collectors," she transmitted to Admiral Rodriguez, who watched through her neural feed from the thermopila. "They're archivists of evolution itself. Every species they've harvested developed unique solutions to environmental challenges. The Nalthians' crystalline biology allowed them to survive in radiation zones. The Mursk adapted to crushing atmospheric pressure. And now they want our ability to adapt rapidly to any condition." The fleet had been pursuing the harvesters for 3 weeks, following quantum wake signatures through systems of dead worlds. Each planet they encountered told the same story. Civilizations discovered, analyzed, and systematically harvested for their biological innovations. "We've detected something," Captain Santos reported from the bridge. "Massive quantum disturbances at the edge of charted space. The energy signature matches their collection facilities. But the scale, it's unlike anything we've seen." The holographic display showed a structure that defied conventional physics, a massive ring-shaped facility that stretched across an entire solar system, its surface covered in biological processing nodes. This was the Harvester's grand project, the culmination of their genocidal campaign across the galaxy. All ships, battle stations, Rodriguez commanded. But before the fleet could move into position, something unexpected happened. The facility began transmitting on all frequencies, using the communication method that seemed to bypass traditional language barriers. Through the neural network, every human crew member received the same vision: the history of the harvesters themselves. They had once been like other species, evolving on a single world. But their star had begun to die millennia ahead of schedule. In their desperation to survive, they had transformed themselves into living ships, preserving their civilization by becoming something no longer bound by planetary constraints. They're not destroying species out of malice, Dr. Chen realized, her enhanced mind processing the implications. They're preserving what they consider essential: the genetic innovations that allow life to endure. They think they're saving the galaxy by creating the ultimate survivor. Rodriguez watched through multiple tactical feeds as more harvester ships emerged from fold space around the facility. Their intentions don't justify genocide, he responded. All ships, prepare for. Wait. Chen's voice cut through the command channel. I have an alternative. We've been fighting them as if they were conquerors, but they're really just trying to survive. What if we offered them something they've never encountered before? What do you mean, Doctor? Cooperation. Chen's neural implants interface directly with the captured harvester ship systems. Every species they've encountered either fought back or tried to flee. But we're different. We don't just adapt to survive. We help others survive. It's one of humanity's unique traits. Understanding dawned in Rodriguez's augmented mind. Humanity had evolved not just through biological adaptation, but through cultural and technological innovation. Their greatest strength wasn't their ability to survive as individuals, but their capacity to work together, to pass on knowledge, to help others thrive. Through the neural network, Chen began transmitting a new kind of data to the harvester facility, not just humanity's genetic adaptations, but their scientific knowledge, their medical advances, their understanding of cooperative evolution. She showed them how Earth's harsh environment had taught humans not just to endure, but to help others endure. The response was immediate and unexpected. The harvester ship's organic components began to pulse with new patterns of energy. Their transmission changed, becoming less alien, more comprehensible. They're adapting, Maya reported in amazement, not just physically, but culturally. They're learning from us in real time. The facility's surface rippled as its biological processors began incorporating this new data, not just the genetic potential for adaptation, but the social and technological frameworks that made adaptation meaningful. The harvesters had never encountered a species that offered to help them achieve their goals without violence. We offer an exchange, the harvester consciousness transmitted. Your methods of preservation through cooperation for our accumulated knowledge of galactic evolution. The collection need not end life to preserve it. Rodriguez looked at the tactical display, where the harvester ships were powering down their weapons. Dr. Chen, you just turned an extinction-level threat into a first contact scenario. I'd say that's a uniquely human solution to the problem. No, Chen replied, watching as the facility began reconfiguring itself. It's a uniquely human way of adapting. We didn't just survive our death world. We learned to help others survive it too. Maybe that's the adaptation they really needed. 1 year after the confrontation at the collection facility, Earth had become the center of a revolutionary change in galactic civilization. The massive ring structure, now relocated to orbit around a stable red dwarf star, hummed with combined human and harvester technology. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at its central control nexus, her neural implants interfacing with systems that merged biological and mechanical engineering in ways that would have seemed impossible just months ago. The resurrection process is ready for its first full test, she announced to the assembled representatives. Admiral Rodriguez and Captain Santos stood alongside delegates from 20 different species, some survivors of harvester collection attempts, others drawn by the promise of what this new collaboration could achieve. The chamber's quantum displays showed their first test subject, a complete genetic archive of the Zenith, a species that had been collected centuries ago. Their adaptations to extreme gravitational conditions had made them a priority target for the harvesters, but now their genetic legacy would serve a different purpose. "We're not just bringing back extinct species," Chen explained, her augmented vision monitoring multiple data streams simultaneously. "We're creating sanctuaries where they can thrive, teaching them to adapt and evolve naturally rather than through forced collection." The Harvester consciousness, now calling itself the Preservation Collective, had undergone its own evolution. Their ships were no longer instruments of terror but living archives, their biological computers storing not just genetic information but cultural memories, technological achievements, and the accumulated wisdom of countless civilizations. "Integration complete," Maya reported from her station. "The environmental chambers are replicating their homeworld's conditions perfectly. Genetic sequencing is stable." Rodriguez watched through his tactical display as the first new Zenith embryos began to develop in carefully maintained growth chambers. "To think," he mused, "a year ago we were preparing for the extinction of our species. Now we're bringing the extinct back to life." But the work wasn't without its challenges. Other powers in the galaxy had taken notice of Earth's sudden rise to prominence. Not everyone was comfortable with the idea of humans wielding the power to resurrect entire species, or their alliance with the former harvesters. "We've detected unusual quantum signatures in the Carina sector," one of the Nelthian representatives announced, their crystalline form refracting light in patterns of concern. "Similar to the old harvester collection ships, but different." Chen's neural implants processed the incoming data. "Copycats," she concluded. "Someone's trying to replicate the old harvester technology, but without understanding the full context, without the human element we've added. They'll repeat our mistakes," the Preservation Collective's avatar finished. Its form shifted between various collected species as it spoke, a visual representation of the diversity it now sought to preserve rather than simply archive. The drive to collect and preserve is powerful. Without the human understanding of cooperation and mutual growth, it becomes destructive. Rodriguez's expression hardened with determination. "Then we'll do what humans have always done, adapt to meet the challenge. But this time, we're not alone." The next months saw the emergence of a new force in the galaxy. Earth's fleet, now augmented with harvester biological technology, began establishing outposts across the stars. But these weren't military bases. They were sanctuaries, research stations, and cultural preservation sites. The Deathworlders, as humans were still known, had become the guardians of life rather than just survivors of harsh conditions. At each site, the combined knowledge of humanity and the Preservation Collective was used to restore ecosystems, resurrect lost species, and teach emerging civilizations how to adapt without losing their essence. The very traits that had made humans successful on their harsh homeworld, their adaptability, their creativity, their drive to overcome challenges through cooperation, became the foundation for a new kind of galactic society. "We've received another distress signal," Maya reported one day, her voice carrying a note of pride. "A developing civilization in the Orion Spur. They're facing environmental collapse on their homeworld." Chen smiled as she watched the fleet prepare for their mission. Humanity had come full circle, from receiving a desperate distress call to becoming the ones who answered such calls across the galaxy. Their ships were no longer just vessels of war, but arcs of preservation, carrying the combined wisdom of countless species and the uniquely human drive to not just survive, but to help others survive. "All ships, prepare for fold space jump," Rodriguez commanded. "Let's show them what Deathworlders can really do." As the fleet entered fold space, Chen reflected on how far they'd come. The harvesters had sought to preserve life by collecting and cataloging it. Humanity had shown them, and the galaxy, a better way. They had proved that true adaptation came not from isolation and preservation, but from cooperation and growth. The distress beacon that had once signaled humanity's greatest crisis had become the catalyst for their greatest achievement. The galaxy had learned why Earth was called a death world, not because of its harsh conditions, but because those conditions had forged a species that refused to accept the death of hope, the death of progress, or the death of civilization itself. They were Deathworlders, and they had become life's greatest champions.